Hey everybody, welcome to the Slam Nation on the New York Nerd Show. It is a fine Tuesday evening, 2 days removed from WWE's Money in the Bank pay-per-view. As always, I am joined by Lord Cash in the studio from afar. How are you doing, Lord Cash?
I'd say I'm money, but I don't know if that's copyrighted or something like that. You know, Carmella maybe has that already in the book, but I am Lord Cash. This is Money in the Banks. Money in the Bank. I feel like this is like my pay-per-view.
It should be, yeah. And coming out of this particular year, we had a lot of big things. Big E1 for the men. We're excited to see what he has in store for him. And your girl, Nikki Ash, whatever you want to call her, not only won for the women last night in Raw, she cashed it in on Charlotte Flair, and now she's a champion.
That's right. So I'm gonna say I think I put in there like almost a champion instead of almost a superhero. So she was almost a champion, and now she is the Raw Women's Champion. That was fantastic to see her. I was going through some of the listings as I was coming up with tonight's list, seeing how long people actually held these titles. And some of them were very, very quick. Some of them cashed in that same night.
Yep.
Some of them held on to it for 200 plus days. So it's all a calculated risk as to when someone is actually going to cash in that opportunity. And Nikki Ash felt that 24 hours. That's what I want to do.
Exactly. We actually both called it in the sense like we thought that she's going to cash it in that night because she was our top pick, her and Liv Morgan. So just a day off, but not too bad at all. Some cash-ins are successful, some are not. And tonight we're going to be talking about what we feel are the best Money in the Bank cash-ins and the worst. Sometimes those decisions have nothing to do with the actual wrestler that holds the briefcase, but it can be how it's always executed at the end of that run too. So Lord Cash, are you ready? We're going to hit the ground running by talking about some of our worst picks for Money in the Bank winner.
Yeah, so if I'm understanding this correctly, I've got my top 5 of the worst cash-ins, and then you have 5 of your top 5. And there's a good chance that there may be some overlapping. Hopefully, and then after that, we're going to talk about the best cash-ins, and hopefully those lists don't overlap, but hopefully the best and worst will overlap as we have this. So
as you're watching too, everybody, if you have a thought on who you think the worst Money in the Bank cash-in is, or a winner, whatever, throw it in the chat, throw it in the comment, because even if you're watching this later, we'd love to see what you think.
Yeah, and with that, we're kind of doing a little stray from our normal review of what's been going on in the WWE, and this is kind of stepping away and doing a kind of a top 5 list for each of us. So if you like our old reviews, let us know down in the comments. If you like these top 5 lists and everything, let us know on that, because that way that's going to proceed how we move forward in the future.
Absolutely.
All righty. So am I starting, or are you going to start?
For the worst, I would love to start, if that's okay.
By all means, you give me your number 5 of your worst.
This one breaks my heart. I am a huge fan of Otis. I was very happy that he won Money in the Bank last year. Many people were not. What kills me is that Otis was at the top of the world. He had Mandy Rose. He won Money in the Bank. He was getting huge pops through the moon. Well, not pops because pandemic era. But then he loses it to The Miz. He loses his girl. He loses his tag team partner. And what does he have to show for it? Nothing. This was a terrible booking of Otis as being Mr. Money in the Bank. Absolutely terrible.
So I feel like I need to throw up a red flag here, because he never actually cashed it in.
I know, but this is his run as Mr. Money in the Bank. I have another worse in here that, be honest with you, Lord Cash, spoiler alert, everybody, it's very similar.
I don't know. I don't feel that, again, this is my 2 cents. I don't feel Otis belongs in this category. I don't believe he belongs in this conversation.
I don't know. Money in the Bank is a perfect opportunity for the WWE to elevate a
Oh,
talent that's
absolutely.
not being picked. And I think this was like a botch of using this annual, once a year opportunity. They blew it. It worked for
Right.
the Miz at the end, but you know.
Alrighty. Well,
What about you, Lord Cash?
that's your number 5. I'm going to go with my number 5. My number 5, and this one is going to be the very first women's Money in the Bank winner, Carmella.
Oh,
So, and the reasoning for this, when she won, and then she cashed in her Money in the Bank contract, she had to literally tell the ref like 20 plus times. Or let me rephrase that. The ref asked Carmella like 20 plus times, are you cashing this in? Yes. Do you want to cash this in? Yes. Are you still cashing this in? Yes. And of course, one of the things that I've noticed through all of the cashing in process, it's a time thing.
yeah.
You know, you've got to strike at the right moment, or there are those few moments that you cash in and you don't win.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about some of those tonight.
So I know previously to Sunday's Money in the Bank, I believe the statistics was at 83% chance that if you have a Money in the Bank contract, you are going to win. That was the statistic. Out of all of them that have been cashed in, 83% of the time they walked away with the title. So again, it's all about the timing and the fact that you had Charlotte Flair lying on the ground and the ref was just like, are you cashing in? Yes. Are you cashing in? Yes. Yes. Cash it in, cash it in, cash in. I just felt that was kind of, I kind of understand like the storyline behind it. She was kind of like, I'm cashing it. No, I'm not cashing it. I'm cashing it. I'm not cashing it. I'm cashing it. I'm not cashing
Yeah, they do that like twist. They do the taunting almost in that bait and switch a couple times. But this one was a pretty quick turnaround, if I remember correctly, too.
As far as like how long it took for her to cash in the title.
Yeah, because she had James Ellsworth with her, and I believe that they cashed in very shortly after she won it.
2 days.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty quick turnaround.
According to this. But now there was also controversy where she had it, but then she didn't have it, and then she had to like do it again and won it, and type of a scenario, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because James Ellsworth had control over it, if I remember correctly as well. So there was that that drama. But I guess you didn't like my Otis pick. I didn't like your Carmella pick, but that's okay. Agree to disagree.
At least mine cashed it in.
Hey, that's true. Otis would have if he could.
Quite possible.
Now, my next on the worst list is Braun Strowman. What? Well, what a turd of a cash-in. He wins the Money in the Bank. He is on a roll in his career. Everybody was just salivating, waiting for this guy to get pushed to the next level. He cashes it in to have a Hell in a Cell match with Roman Reigns. He doesn't lose. He doesn't win. Brock Lesnar shows up, rips the door off the cage, leaves them both laying. No contest. He never gets a rematch for it. It's just up. It's gone. What a junky booking. I didn't understand that at all.
So here's for me, that one is my number 3. So with that, on top of everything you just mentioned, Seth Rollins, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, and Dean Ambrose all come out and are fighting on top of the Hell in a Cell while this is all going on. The two of them are inside the cage and everyone is up top that I just mentioned. And then all of a sudden, as you said, Brock Lesnar comes out, kicks down the door, and goes in there and just decimates them even further.
Yeah.
So for me, this one where he literally goes in beforehand and gives what was he, not the commissioner, but he was
the constable. I think it was Constable Corbin or something.
He pretty much cashes in and says, I want to face Roman Reigns at Hell in a Cell. So he cashes it in way in advance.
Yeah, he calls his shot.
Which, again, sometimes that works for you, sometimes it doesn't. And actually, I want to say that every time that's happened, everyone they've called it in advance, they've never won.
Oh, I don't know. In my top list, you'll see that is not the case.
Okay, so again, there 16 years of Money in the Bank.
Oh yeah. Lord Cash, I had to kind of look at a couple too to kind of remind myself. So
at least the ones that I'm thinking of, they've all not won. So we'll find out which one is on your top of the best. So that was my number 3. So why don't you give me your number 3, and I will give you let me give you my number 4, and we'll run into your number 3. How's that sound?
That sounds fine to me.
All right. So this one may surprise you a little bit. I'm going to set the stage. It's 2013. It is SummerSlam.
Oh, God.
Randy Orton is your current Money in the Bank winner. And he comes out, and I believe he goes up against Daniel Bryan, who just won, and cashes in with the help of Triple H, who was the special guest referee enforcer to the match previously, where I'm trying to remember who he actually – did he actually get the belt? Daniel Bryan won the belt off of
he beat John Cena.
And then, of course, Randy Orton comes down, and if I'm not mistaken, that's the one where he kind of walks down to the ring, and Daniel Bryan's like, come get it, come get it, come get it.
Right.
He turns, walks away. He starts doing the yes chant, and then he walks back, and then at that point, Triple H is behind him, gives him the pedigree, and then Randy Orton. So for me, because it was not a match between Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton, you had an outside force. Once the Money in the Bank, like I understand, like Money in the Bank cash-ins are riddled with exactly what happened last night. Someone gets mad and decimates them, and then outruns the Money in the Bank contract holder and cashes in. To me, that's different. Then they've come out, someone else gets involved, and then allows the other person to cash in. So for me, Triple H had no business in that fight. Had Triple H been like, I didn't like how you beat John Cena, beat him up, and then Randy Orton came out, to me, that would have been a different story.
Well, this leads to like the B-plus player, not best for business storyline that ultimately led to like the huge victory at WrestleMania 30 for Daniel Bryan. But this was definitely a pothole in the road. And I remember I was very disappointed as well when this happened.
So for me, that was my number 4. I already mentioned what my number 3 was, which was your number 4. So what is your number 3?
All right. The next one on my list was actually Damien Sandow, the intellectual savior. What an opportunity this guy had. He was teaming with Cody Rhodes as the Rhodes Scholars at this point. And I can remember going into this pay-per-view, me and a bunch of my friends were like, what an opportunity for Cody or Damien Sandow. These are young guys who want to go to the next level. Damien Sandow turns on Cody, bashes him in the head with the briefcase, if I remember correctly. And what was cool about Sandow is some of the winners over the years have actually personalized the briefcase.
Right.
RVD spray painted his, and he actually turned his briefcase into a leather-bound briefcase to show like his hoity-toity high-class look. I loved it. Damien Sandow, though, was the first person to ever fail at a cash-in. He cashed it in at, officially failed. I know you can look it up. I know. He decided to cash it in against John Cena on Monday Night Raw. And going into it, I remember like not liking the chances, but I was still hoping he'd win. Unfortunately, Big Time John put him away and completely fizzled out any push that Damien Sandow had. He recovered only to becoming the stuntman character with The Miz, but he never really had a shot at being a breakout single star after this. So I thought this was a It was a fail. It was a definite fail for the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Right. So if we want to get semantics, I believe the year prior, John Cena called his shot and cashed in. And
Wasn't it it was before this?
John Cena was 2012. Sandow was 2013.
Oh, okay.
So whereas I believe, I don't know if Sandow was he peer pressured into John Cena saying, call, not to cash it, like to call your shot, essentially, like, hey, next week cash it in.
I think he did it that day. I could be wrong, but I think it was like, he was basically like, he was egging him on, if I remember correctly, and he ended up cashing it in, and
he held it for 106 days.
It still didn't work. I don't mean the next day is from the pay-per-view. I mean, because he had time to make the leather briefcase,
Right. Well, I'm sure during that 106 days he did that, but when he had the interaction with them, pretty much he said, cash it in. Whereas I know John Cena, there's the pay-per-view Monday night. He came out and said, all right, next Monday, I can't remember who was champion at the time, and basically said, I'm cashing in next week. And there was an actual match scheduled.
Yeah.
Whereas it was not I'm going to run down to the ring and I'm going to take the opportunity and cash it in. So there was, like I said, so John Cena was the first one to officially be not successful. Damon Sandow was the second.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
And I have a correction on my part, on my list. The Strowman at Hell in a Cell, that was actually my number 2.
Oh, whatever. It's all good.
So number 3, and again, this may be a little stingy here, but this is 2011. Daniel Bryan cashes in after winning his briefcase at TLC over the Big Show. The one thing that makes this a little stinker in my eyes is traditionally the rules state both competitors have to be standing for the match to start.
Mm-hmm.
The Big Show was flat on his back, and they started the match. And literally, while the ref was like looking at the ring at the timekeeper, Daniel Bryan had already picked up the leg and gone for the cover, and they counted the 1, 2, 3. So for me, since rules were not followed, and I'm like, come on, that's not right. I'm like, if you're going to set up rules and foundation, I realize it's the Big Show. You need to have him, knocked down to have a somewhat fair advantage. And the fact that he had just competed in a TLC match, like there is like chairs and stuff all over the ring when this happens. So I know that was kind of his launching into Daniel Bryan's stardom, but just rules weren't followed, man.
No, I agree. And Daniel Bryan was a good guy leading into this, and he had very heel tendencies here, and it led him into being a heel. And I hate this one too, Lord Cash, because 4 months later we had the infamous 18 seconds match against Sheamus. That was my least favorite WrestleMania match almost of all time. I was pumped for that match. That was the WrestleMania main event for me because the year before they were in the pre-show, and I genuinely liked Sheamus and Daniel Bryan. I was pumped. The pay-per-view started and they came out. I went to go use the bathroom. I really had to go. I'm like, this is going to be a classic. It's fine. I went to go use the bathroom, and I kid you not, no more than 2 minutes later, I come out, the video package is going for the next match, and I'm like, oh, are they doing it later? He goes, no, it's over. I thought my friend, I thought they were joking. And then all of a sudden I realized, no, he lost in 18 seconds.
Yeah.
Long-term storytelling, it got him over more, just like with Orton beating him, But we'll have to see what happens with even this year's.
Right.
All right. So my next one is going to be, drum roll, please, Mr. Kennedy. He was a huge deal. He was having with Batista, with Undertaker. he was the next big thing. He was so charismatic. Love this guy. In his match, he gave his finish to Hornswoggle off the top of the ladder. Come on, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, him and Hornswoggle are best friends. If you read Hornswoggle's book, they'll tell you all about how he got into wrestling. I digress. It came up, like, I don't know, maybe 2 months after he had won it, he had an injury. It was like a bicep injury, a shoulder injury, and the initial thought, from what I understand, was that he was going to be out of action for an extended period of time. So they took the briefcase off of him and gave it to Edge. And again, I'm not in the company. This is what I've heard. They gave it to Edge and then found out later on that Kennedy wasn't going to be out for any action. So he already lost the briefcase. But there was a lot of things going on backstage. Like, they were losing faith in him because of injuries, because of other things he was doing. Bottom line is, Kennedy, he had the opportunity to become a main player in the company, and for whatever reason, he lost it. And I know we talked about, did he cash it in? The dude didn't have a chance. And it was a missed opportunity at using the Money in the Bank to elevate somebody to the next level.
Right, yeah. He had it for about 36 days, lost it to Edge, I believe, on a episode of Raw, and then Edge then cashed it in 4 days later.
Yeah, and the SmackDown, I think Taker and Batista were fighting for it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so he won it off of Undertaker. At that episode of SmackDown. All right, so now, if I've done math correctly, we're down to our top pick each for the worst cash-ins.
The worst.
All righty, so I know you went first to start this off. So do you want to start to kind of end this with the worst, or you want me to go ahead and jump onto it?
You go ahead and jump on.
All righty. So for me, the one that just left a sour taste in my mouth was this guy here. And I hate to pick on him while he's down, but a good old Baron Corbin back in 2017, when he cashed it in, unfortunately, John Cena was in the ring that had just competed, and he was going up against Jinder Mahal, was the champion at the time, and his focus got taken off of Jinder for that split moment to go after John Cena, and Jinder Mahal was able to roll him up and do the pin 1, 2, 3. So I believe he was maybe the third or fourth person to not successfully cash in the Money in the Bank contract. So unfortunately, he did not do so well. And like I said, just that cash in, because he took his eye off the prize. I realize that there's a lot of stuff. John Cena's out there. And here's the thing. I don't know why he went to John Cena. You can't see him anyways. Yes. But then, of course, like I said, Jinder Mahal rolled him up, and it's history, man.
And it didn't get any better for him because he fought Cena at SummerSlam, and Cena mopped the floor with him. He beat him in maybe 3 minutes. It was terrible. So now you got Baron Corbin nowadays at rock bottom. I don't know. He might want to look back 5 years ago and see if it was any worse than it is now.
Right.
He lost a crown now, not a belt.
Yeah. I was called. There is the Go Fund Baron Corbin, thing that you can do if you want to help out, by all means.
Yes, and you should check out that website because it is actually real.
Oh, I know. All right. So, AllThatPat, who is your number one worst cash in Money in the Bank?
How? Why? This happened, I think, 2 years ago. Brock Lesnar was not in the Money in the Bank ladder match. He wasn't in it. After 15 minutes of chaos, his music hits, and he just comes out, walks up and grabs the damn briefcase, and they count it.
Yeah.
It's like, R-Truth should have done that. Like, Brock was a 24/7 champion before it was cool, apparently. Just coming out and doing what he wants. I mean, For crying out loud, the guy didn't need it to begin with. Now, he gave us Boombox Brock. That made me laugh. Yes, I will give him that. But come on. I think the only thing that made sense storyline-wise is when he cashed it in. He cashed it in on Seth Rollins, who had cashed in on him a couple years prior. You might see that one in our best. Hint, hint. So, I mean, it kind of played a story of him getting his revenge. But, honestly, it wasn't even the cash in, Lord Cash. It was the fact that he won it and he wasn't in the match. It makes no sense whatsoever.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, which, let's face it, when it comes to wrestling stuff, I could very well be. Wasn't Ricochet or some other competitor taken out? And so, therefore, legally, there was only 7 competitors, and therefore, he became the 8th? Void?
It's possible. If that was the case, they didn't explain that. Because like it just didn't make sense, even if that was the case, exactly. But like he just came out and won it. Like if something was like Michael Cole's like, oh, we've got a new competitor, it's Brock Lesnar. No, it's just kind of like, what the hell's this guy doing? Brock Lesnar as a person and as a competitor definitely shows off that he'll do whatever he wants when he wants. And this was a clear example of that happening, but I don't know. That one always rubbed me the wrong way for a variety of reasons, but it literally made no sense. I've never seen a wrestler enter a match, not even being in it, and win it. Like it was completely asinine.
Allowed to keep it.
Yes.
So I'm looking here. Ali, Andrade, Baron Corbin, Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, Randy Orton, and Ricochet were the 7 people. So I guess they never actually. I don't know if they never announced the 8th person. Like if there was a graphic that had like the little, vacant silhouette. Maybe that's it. Vacant was absent, and Brock Lesnar took his spot.
It could have been, But again, if you guys got something that I didn't get out of that, like maybe we also, like you said, maybe we missed something back in the day, but I don't know. I thought it was a terrible decision.
It was only 2019.
I know. It feels like a lifetime ago. That's like I said, I thought it was like 2 years ago. But like I said, that covers our worst. Obviously we have the best, right? There's a lot of like memorable cash-ins too. I can only go up from here. Now we do thank you for watching us. Just kind of like as we're halfway through, just want to kind of remind you guys some of the things that we do have on the New York Nerd Show. These shows can be seen and replay as well. In our different on our YouTube channel, especially, right? But some of the things we do try to do these every night at 8, but sometimes we don't. Bottom line is we watch Slam Nation Wrestling right now. Tomorrow we have the Game Room. It's a video game a show. I believe we're going to be doing we're going to be going against each other in the Nick's kart racing, as long as I can get my Switch to work. Thursday is I Stream, You Stream. We're going to be talking about Black Widow, one of the latest movies in the theaters, Marvel. Funko Royalty is on Friday. Mail Call Mail Time is on Saturday. All the Wild is on Sunday, and Crazy Card Collecting is on Mondays. But just want to give you a heads up. Make sure that like, share, and subscribe if you want to. We appreciate it if you do. You'll get like updates on all the different things that we do, all the shows, and we do have a monthly contest where we pick one of our subscribers and get like a nice random assortment of retro trading cards and put it together for you. This month we might even do 2.
Ooh.
Well, it's time for the good memories. Who were the best Money in the Bank winners? If you have an idea, also put it in the chat. We'd love to hear what you think. But without any further ado, Lord Cash, I started the worst. Why don't you hit us up with the best?
All righty. So for me, my number 5 of the best was back in 2008. I believe this is only the 3rd Money in the Bank contract situation to actually take place. Maybe the 4th. But with that, you had a young CM Punk come coming down to the ring because at that time, I believe Edge was just decimated by, if you look in the back of the photo behind the ref, you'll see Batista.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, he was able to cash it in and win the belt there. So for me, if I'm not mistaken, this was the first world heavyweight title that he held. He's had, I'm sure, other ones before then, but I think this was the first time he actually held the world heavyweight or the WWE champion. He didn't have any before then, right?
Yeah, I mean, he had the ECW, but that wasn't really considered on the same level. So this was his real breakout moment. So Lord Cash and we actually went to the WrestleMania and the night before. We were at WrestleMania 24. We saw CM Punk actually win that Money in the Bank. And myself, I actually flew home and I watched this on Raw with a buddy of mine. And we were celebrating for sure. And I just remember, the way this all started, like Batista just destroying him, and then that big victory for sure. Now, what was it that you liked about the CM Punk cash-in? Just because it was so unexpected, or?
For me, it was just CM Punk is one of those names that I feel of the 2000s, the last 20 years, is probably one of the people that gets put on people's Mount Rushmore.
Sure.
And so because of that, this was the foundation, that groundwork that really, catapulted him to the next level.
Yeah, it definitely did.
And so that's why, for me, this cash-in, taking the opportunity of a Money in the Bank contract and then actually utilizing it, being very strategic. I believe he held it for almost 3 months. We're cashing in. So it wasn't just hey, we're going to do, I'm just going to, all right, 2 weeks, I'm going to cash in, whatever. There was, planning that went into this as far as we could see. And as soon as Edge got, laid out by Batista, that was the moment to strike.
So it wasn't the next night. Okay. But I know, we were watching, but I know the timing. Yeah, you're right. It wasn't actually right away, but what a moment, though.
Yeah. So for me, it was just that catapulting of CM Punk's career.
Sure.
To having a very lengthy time frame where he was, in fans' eyes, number one, the top dog from that 2005 to whenever he left in the early 2010s, that he was your guy.
Oh, yeah, no, he didn't go back. I mean, it was basically, this was the starting point, and he never looked back.
So that was me. What about you, AllThatPat? Who is your best, your number 5?
Well, my number 5 surprise, I'm sure it surprised a lot of people. It's Kane. And the main reason was because Kane had been out of the main event picture for a long time. He won the WWF Championship back in 1998, I believe it was, at King of the Ring, and then had nothing but, he had some tag team success, and he had some Intercontinental, but as a main eventer, he wasn't really given a lot of respect at that moment. At least I didn't feel so. He came into this match. I did not expect him to win Money in the Bank. If you asked me who was going to win, he'd be the last person I'd say.
Right.
The reason why I picked this, though, tonight was because he cashed in immediately. It was 24 minutes later, something like that. And the highlight, what's that?
49 minutes later. He holds the record for the fastest cash-in.
The highlight was Rey Mysterio survived his match, and then Kane's music hits, and I remember seeing his image on Rey Mysterio's face, and it was literally an oh, you know what look, and I'm just like, here it comes. And I don't know, I was so pumped, and Kane destroyed him. He won a world title almost 10 years after his first one. It was a real nice nod to Glenn Jacobs, in a realistic way. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed this moment when he won the title and the Money in the Bank.
So I have a question.
Go for it.
Rey Mysterio, he won the title that night, or did he defend the title that night at Money in the Bank? Do you remember?
I don't. I can look it up. I do believe he had won it.
Okay, then if he just won it that night, then I will retract my statement. And I'm only saying that because I wonder if that was the same year, 2010, that he won the Royal Rumble.
Because no, that was Royal Rumble was the year that Eddie died. It was the Royal Rumble right after that, so I don't think it was.
Okay, because I know he was not liked that he won the Royal Rumble that year.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So now, oddly enough, and again, this is where our lists are going to overlap. I'm double checking my list this time, and your number 5 is in fact my number 4. So
well, there you go.
So Kane, winning the thing, and then 49 minutes later, him cashing it in, and again, it was just that. Oh man, I just got this thing.
I know. It's like, come on.
Let me have it a little bit.
Right.
So, like I said, that was my number 4. And the reason being is because, as you said, going into that match, you had Big Show, Christian, Cody Rhodes, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, Kofi Kingston, and Matt Hardy. All in that, and you've got some people that are very skilled, climbing ladders. Kane is a big guy. He was probably the biggest outside of Big Show and Drew McIntyre. And so normally the big guy does not win. The tall guy does not win. What you would think, climbing a ladder, they would have the advantage. But typically they don't. But the fact that I believe he said, if I win Money in the Bank, I'm cashing in tonight. And that's exactly what he did. He won it. And as soon as Rey Mysterio won his match, boom, 49 minutes later, his music is playing.
And pyro and done.
It's game over, Rey Mysterio.
What a great match that was. And like I said, it's such an unexpected occurrence, at least for sounds like us, but I'm sure there's some Kane fans that are like, oh, I saw it coming the whole time. Maybe.
So what was your number 4?
So my number 4, let's see, I think, here we go. My number 4 was, anticipation is killing, Rob Van Dam.
Okay.
Some people have this one higher. And I was trying to pick ones that people don't necessarily. Well, it's hard, right? You can't ignore the classic ones, And Rob Van Dam, he did win the second Money in the Bank, and one of the keys for Rob Van Dam's victory was that he called his shot. He said that he was going to fight John Cena at the ECW One Night Stand. He wanted to do it on his own turf, and in my opinion, this was one of the loudest, most raucous, rambunctious crowds, and the reaction to Rob Van Dam winning the belt was off the charts. This is the well-known match where it says, if Cena wins, we riot.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
And it sucks that it was actually not even close to clean because Edge got involved in this. They edit that off of a lot of the replay packages. But he actually was fighting with Cena at the time, so he spears him, and it's kind of like when Eddie won the belt from Lesnar. Goldberg actually got involved, but they don't show that on replays.
Right.
But anyway, what an emotional moment! It gives me goosebumps, and I'm not a huge ECW fan, but just seeing the reaction there was fantastic.
And if I'm not mistaken, the ref was knocked out, and Paul Heyman runs in and does the 1, 2, 3, and he does a legitimate 1, 2, 3. There was no fast count or anything of that nature. It was a very honest 3 count.
Yeah, 100%. You didn't want to take away this moment from Rob Van Dam. In all reality, It's his only belt he ever won in the main level, and unfortunately, he lost it maybe a month later because he got pulled over for being Rob Van Dam. But if you remove the aftermath from a month later, I think it's got to be a career highlight for the guy. I would imagine.
Oh, absolutely. I would not say otherwise. So,
what about you? Who's your number 3 or number 4?
Well, 4 was Kane.
Yeah, so number 3.
So my number 3 now. I feel that I'm going to get some boos in the chat here, but there is a method to my order of madness. Okay.
All right.
So my number 3 is none other than the very first Money in the Bank winner.
What? Oh man!
Like I said,
what? Okay. I'm gonna pull back. I want to hear your thoughts. Go for it.
So, and realistically, I don't want to necessarily go into my 1 and 2s just yet, because if I give you the reasoning that this is absolutely, I could argue all day that these going around this could be easily number 1. Was the first time. This is the only match that Vince McMahon has literally walked out and go, oh, by the way, there's one more match. And it's going to be with Edge, Mr. Money in the Bank. He is the only one that has received the Money in the Bank contract. Everyone else has been given it to the referee.
That is true, yeah.
Only one. So I would 100%, like, if you say this is your number 1, I will not argue it. If you say it's number 2, I will not argue it. But for me, I have reasonings for my 1 and 2 that I will go into a little bit later.
I'll be honest with you. It's not on my list.
Okay.
It's not even my top 5. I was more surprised because I know how much you've liked Edge, so I figured it would be your number 1. So
once you hear my 1 and 2, you will 100% understand. And when you hear my number 2, you'll know what my number 1 is.
Your number 1 is Brock Lesnar. We already know that.
Yes. Spoilers. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not a spoiler. That was a prediction.
Exactly.
But anyways, that is my number 3. Like I said, if anybody wants to argue with me and say that's your number 1, number 2, I will 100% agree with you. I just have different reasonings for this. So, personal reasons that they trump.
Right. And the reality to everybody is that, I mean, we've got, I think, 20 different Money in the Bank winners over these years. So picking it down to 5 is going to be very difficult anyway.
Yes.
All right. So my number 3 is someone that I don't see on the list all that often, Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
Dean was the last one to arrive to the party for the Shield. Roman and Seth had already won the belt. Had already traded it. And Seth Rollins was the one that turned on the Shield to become like the champion first almost. He really was like the big corporate guy. And at this point, going into this Money in the Bank match, Seth Rollins was kind of like almost like coming back as a little bit of a good guy, but not, because he had to vacate the title about 6 months prior because of a knee injury. So this was a big moment where Seth won the belt from Roman Reigns. He was celebrating, and then Dean Ambrose comes out and gets his on Seth, and he wins the belt for the first time. And personally, I like Dean Ambrose's championship reign. With AJ, with no chin music, James Ellsworth. I actually liked it.
Do you know how long he held the briefcase before cashing it in?
It has to be pretty damn close to Kane. It was the same night.
57 minutes, according to the list I'm looking at right here.
Yeah, I mean, it took no time at all. I remember that night. I had a feeling, because again, the two Shield guys were fighting. I think it just boiled down to who would win.
Yeah.
But
so he has the second fastest cash in, and I believe there's two other people that have cashed in night of.
Yeah, I know Bailey did. Actually, I think Bailey and Alexa Bliss did.
Yep. So Bailey did it after an hour and 25 minutes, and Alexa Bliss has the longest of the day at almost 3 hours. So I think they had the first match, and then I believe that night they were the main event, I think, for the evening. And Alexa cashed in like 2 hours and 52 minutes later.
Yeah, it was Nia Jax was defending the belt against Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey. I'll get it right eventually.
So, Dean Ambrose was definitely one of the guys. I'm sad that Mitch is no longer with us.
Plant, yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I love Dean Ambrose. He was just cuckoo crazy that I liked him.
Yeah. He's doing great over on AEW too, as John Moxley. I mean, this is a guy that can definitely go. I mean, he has a lot of he's had a lot of success. That's the bottom line. So, but that was a great night. I really enjoyed him winning the title for the first time off of the Money in the Bank cash in on Seth.
All righty. Just looking for a pen here to doodle something, but it doesn't matter. All righty. So
drop the deuce, Lord Cash. Drop your deuce.
All right, so we've got 2 each left. So I am going for WrestleMania, the only cash-in, to my knowledge, that has taken place at WrestleMania, and that is back in 2015 when Seth Rollins had won it, and he cashed in. And this was interesting about this one. The match was still going on.
He made a triple threat.
This is the first time that anybody had actually cashed in while the match was going on. It was Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yep. And made it a triple threat, the first time ever. Now, again, the reason why this one's a little bit special to me, because you've got those moments there, those first moments, the first at WrestleMania, the first time it's actually happened inside a match. Whereas it's, usually it's always at the end. Someone has been, beat up and knocked out. And then they cash in. They take the opportunity. But Seth Rollins wanted to take this opportunity, and it was at WrestleMania that it emanated from Orlando, Florida.
And it was one of those things where, like, I don't feel that the general fan, I don't think they wanted Reigns to win or Lesnar to win. Both those guys were kind of exhausted. So as soon as he came out, all of a sudden everybody had a pony to pick, and it was electric, and it became the heist of the century, as they like to refer to it now. And
and it's one of those things where we've been talking about Money in the Bank, and this reminds me of this one of the stories that you've always told concerning WrestleMania 9.
Right.
When you're able to watch it, and you ask like your uncle or someone
my uncle
of, all right, who won the match? And you're like, Hulk Hogan. He wasn't even part of the match.
Exactly.
How did Hulk Hogan win? This is one of those moments where, you've got Brock Lesnar and you've got Roman Reigns fighting. Who won? Seth Rollins. Wait, how did that happen? And it's because they've got the Money in the Bank. It adds that little what happened moment when you're talking to someone the next day, which is great. So, but anyways, that is my number 2.
Well, I will say that was my number 1.
I kind of figured as much, but let's see what your number 2 is.
So my number 2 actually is similar to the WrestleMania moment. I assumed that in the year prior, it was going to be Dolph Ziggler being the first to cash in at Money in the Bank, because he came into the pay-per-view in a tag team championship match, teaming with Big E to go up against Team Hell No. I was at this pay-per-view. It was in New York, New Jersey. It was the night when Cena and The Rock had their rematch. And we were like the whole time, like all throughout the night, it was like they had the Jack Swagger defended the title against Alberto Del Rio or vice versa. And we were just waiting the whole time to hear his music play again. And then nothing. And like it was like deflating a balloon, you know, because we were convinced he was going to win the belt that night. The next night, though, on Raw, after Alberto Del Rio and Jack Swagger had their rematch, as soon as you heard his theme music, the place became unglued. And it was cool because, you know, again, you could see the look in Ziggler's face, but also he had AJ Lee with him and Big E at the time. And it literally felt like this was not a prop. It was actually like this guy getting the true recognition from the head of the company to be able to run with the belt. Unfortunately, he dropped it because he had concussion issues. Otherwise, he probably would have had a better run. But what a moment. What an absolute great moment for this guy.
Yeah, no, and I think this was the moment that propelled him into that stardom to where he was one of the top 3-4 people that was consistently going for the title in the early 2010s.
Yeah.
So I 100%, this is definitely one that will do that.
And he had the world title and like a really like flawed asterisk reign when he won it in a stipulation match against Edge at Royal Rumble one year when Vicky Guerrero was his girlfriend. But nobody remembers that. He pretty much had to give the belt right back, you know. So this was a real title reign.
Right. So that was your number 2.
Yep.
And you've already alluded that your number 1 was the Seth Rollins at WrestleMania.
Yeah, when he cashed in, like you said, on Lesnar and Roman Reigns. That was my number 1.
Excellent, excellent. So then my number 1 is from 2010.
Huh. I'm sorry.
It was not Otis.
I'm like, wow, you picked Otis?
So that was the year that The Miz was your Raw Money in the Bank winner. And on November 22nd, 2010, The Miz cashed in Orlando, Florida, while I was in attendance. So because of the fact that I was there, who knows how close I was to Miss Angry Face.
I know, yeah, Angry Miz Girl, yeah.
You know, who knows how close I was to actually her, her proximity, but I was in the arena when that happened. It was electric. Like you hear that, people like going bazonkers. I was there. I was one of them. I was going, oh my gosh, I am actually witnessing a Money in the Bank contract cash in.
Yeah.
It was my son at the time, he was turning, 8. And this was his birthday present is we went to go see Monday Night Raw when they came to Orlando, and they cashed in. And it was just one of those memories, those highlights in my personal life that I carry with me. So for me, that is why this one is number 1, mostly because I was in attendance. It was in the place I was there for it. So that will propel. That's why this one and the WrestleMania in Orlando are able to surpass the Edge moment from New Year's resolution.
That makes total sense. Yeah.
But other than that, that's my list. The question is, what do you think? Do you agree with our list, whether good or bad? Where do our list rank within yours? That's what we want to see. Let us know down below in the information in the comment section, because we want to hear from you. It's been a while. Are you okay? Do you need a friend to talk to? That's us. Exactly. So we do want to thank you for joining us here for our top 5. Let us know what you think about this new format, doing a little top 5 or whatever's based on what's going on in the world of wrestling industry. If you want us to go back to the reviews, let us know. If not, we're going to keep doing something.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And of course, definitely catch us on Facebook, Twitch, or over on YouTube. We've got over 200 videos now. Definitely head over to YouTube. We've got our whole library there that you can watch some of our past videos. Let us know exactly what your thoughts are. And of course, we do ask you to spread the word of the nerd, because we want to be loved. We want to love you guys as well.
And if you become a subscriber, don't forget, you'll be qualified for our monthly retro trading card collection contest. So we're going to have 2 winners this month. I'm excited. 2 winners, and we'll announce at the beginning of August. So, but until then, join us tomorrow at our 8 o'clock time for our game room. And if you want to watch anything else, if you just can't wait that long, go to our YouTube page. We have over 200 videos. You'll find something you like, hopefully.
All righty. Well, this is Lord Cash signing off. All that, Pat, what you got to say?
Ooga booga. Adios.
Bye-bye now.